Good morning. It is such a pleasure to have all of you. Who would have thought on a Saturday morning, it is Saturday, right? To fill this room with all of the beautiful faces right here. Thank you all for coming in. Thanks to first all of you, and thanks to the administration for creating a board such as Virginia Asian Advisory Board. Thanks to the board members, which I'll introduce them shortly, and thanks to Tian for leading this event and bringing all of you together in such a short time frame. I am Srilekha Phale. If you're wondering what kind of name that is, Srilekha is like Sri Lanka. No, you remember, right? It's actually not Sri Lanka. It is Srilekha. And I'm an Indian American, but I consider myself as a proper American at this point, living in this beautiful country for about quarter century at this point, living in Virginia for a little over 15 years or so, or more than that. Both the kids, one kid graduated from Fairfax County, other kid is right now in Fairfax County, so has been and living in Fairfax County, serving Northern Virginia for all the years that I have been in the community. I have interacted with many of you in the past years, have come to some of your organizational events in the past, just as one of the audience, or have participated with your chairs, presidents, done some civic organization events, and so on and so forth. That's enough about me. I'm going to talk about the board because you're all here to kind of understand what Virginia Asian Advisory Board is. I know a couple of my board members, yesterday we had a board meeting, a couple of my board members were also saying that, hey, no matter where we go, Virginia Asian Advisory Board is not very well known. The one way for us to kind of tell people what Virginia Asian Advisory Board is, it is more of a policy advising board to the governor. We get this wonderful chance of going and meeting the governor once in a year and go and tell him what governor can do to make our Asian American lives easier. As you very well know, our demographics are changing drastically. As Asian Americans, first generation and second generation, we are contributing to this economy, to our communities, to the culture, drastically in a very positive manner, right? You all know that. But our culture basically says us to stay humble, stay put down, and just continue to contribute. I don't think our culture says us to go and say and ask for a lot of things, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the policies, nothing happens. So that being said, we need to have that kind of board to go and advocate for all of you, and that's how this board came up. And I see one of the pioneer, Harold Pine, that's sitting out there, was kind of part in shaping all of these way back when. So we are actually running on the sleeves of all of those great pioneers way back then that has done the great work. So we are 21 of us currently in the board. Many of them are here, which I'll introduce in this time. So when we go to the governor, we take feedback from you. So when you're here, when we run a town hall, after all the speakers are done, I hope you get a chance to come back again here and provide us feedback, saying that what's happening in your communities, how are your schools doing, how is the employment going on, anything else that you think we need to put it in the annual report and report back to the governor. What is that pipeline, what are those bottlenecks in your small businesses that you think we need to take it back to the governor and provide those information and so on and so forth. That is precisely what we do. We not only do it in Northern Virginia, but we go throughout the Virginia because as you know, our demographics are expanding and we are everywhere in Virginia at this point. And on the same token, we also want to bring back and tell you all how much administration appreciates it. No matter where we go within the administration, when we go to Asian American Month, I can tell you that administration truly appreciates and understands the contributions of us, our children, the future generation, and the past generation. I can tell you from education perspective, Tian has pushed for the inclusion of API History Month in our curriculum. And I know many more organizations are doing the same things. So that being said, I'm going to introduce our board members. Srini Bayaredi, please come in. Milan, please come. I want to make sure you all know who our board members are. So once you're out there, you can ask them questions of what exactly they do. Dakmai, please come. Juan, obviously you all know Tian. Henry, please come. Tony, I want to make sure I don't miss anyone here. Emma is also our board administrator. She's right there. Hawaii, where is Hawaii? No, I'm sorry. Henry is here. Is anyone else? Am I missing anyone else? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to look. Okay. We are again, as I said, 21 of us, but many of us, a couple of them were here yesterday, but majority of us are from Northern Virginia, but Milan traveled all the way, Juan traveled all the way. Outside of Nova, I call it as Rover, rest of Virginia, so I won't go around to say where they are from. Hawaii is here. Thank them for being here and want to be participating. They're all part of, we have 4 committees: business committee, civic engagement committee, and health committee, and the last one is education committee, so they're all part of different committees.
No, wait, that's all right,
So I'll start from Srini. Srini, would you like to say briefly?
I welcome you all. I'm Srini Bairedi, as Sri mentioned. I am on the business committee, and I have my business for about 18 years in PayPax Committee, so I'm intendant. We do a lot of federal contracting, we do state and local, and I'm here for the rest of the morning, and please come to us with all your concerns or constructive ideas. We are the conduit to take it back to the governor through Plus leadership. And I welcome you all this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri. Thank you, Sri, for having the board members at this very prestigious audience. Fellow nonprofits, Virginia Asian Chamber of Commerce is first of all the official voice of 137,000 Asian American business owners across the Commonwealth. Located behind the governor's office inside the capital of Virginia, our job is to advance, facilitate the growth of businesses and communities throughout Virginia and domestically and globally. Thank you very much for your attention. Please come by our table so we can share some resources with you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Daphnai Webster. I live in Falls Church. I'm also a small business owner. We work with the federal government based, mostly in IT support services. I am a second generation Asian. Moved here to United States when I was 7 years old. I'm also a veteran. So service disabled, veteran-owned, as a small business as well. I'm a service disabled vet. I've actually joined the board just because I think that, the demographic of the United States have changed, and our communities is growing. However, we're underrepresented in terms of what's good for us, having our voices heard, with the state, local, and federal government as well. So to me, it's really important to be able to connect with you so that you can provide us with the input so that we can relay that back. I'm passionate about fairness for all, the freedom that I actually signed on the dotted line to protect and defend this country. I don't want that to go away. So.
My name is Tony Ye. I'm original from Taiwan. I've been here about 51 years. I went to high school in Washington, D.C., and grew up from Northern Virginia. I'm also a real estate broker for over 40 years. I want to thank Governor Youngkin to appoint. We are a very diverse group of Asian Americans to help the governor to give advice. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Quan Schneider. I live in Richmond in Short Pump, and I've served on the board for 4 years, and though it's not officially announced, I just got reappointed for another 4, so I'm super excited. I am a Chinese Vietnamese refugee. My family and I came over from Vietnam in the late 70s, and so I have seen the Commonwealth develop over the last 40 plus years. And it's amazing because living in Richmond, I remember driving up here all the time to Eaton Center to get our food and then get our grocery shopping and come back to Richmond. But I am super fortunate to represent all of you within the Commonwealth on the advisory board. And so I look forward to connecting with you all more. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Hawaii. Of course, I'm not from Hawaii, I'm from China. I'm Chinese American. My legal name is Xia Wei Ling. So Hawaii in Chinese is Xia Wei Yi. So that's how I got the nickname back in high school. Anyway, so I currently live in Chesterfield, Virginia. That's near Richmond area. I used to live in Virginia Beach, Hampton Road. I'm a small business owner. I own pre-owned luxury goods, authentic. Of course. So anyway, one of the reasons I joined the board is really I want to hear your voice because I want the government to hear my voice. And I joined Virginia Asian Chamber of Commerce a couple of years ago. Then that's how I had the opportunity to come to the board here to hear your voice. We would like to connect. If there's anything in your life, anything that related to education, business, anything, we would like to hear your voice. That's what we're here for today. So thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Henry Yuan, and based here in Fairfax, and I'm on the Business and Trade Committee, and so I'm been mostly in the finance and venture capital space for many years. The goal is, I'm interested in this role is to, again, to really represent the community and really share, be the bridge to connect the administration and the community, but also from my own personal experience to really identify and lower the barrier to entry to capital, to finance, and all the opportunities that are needed across the community and really share back and those opportunities. So I'm very happy to be on board with all those dynamic talents and looking forward to connecting with you all today. Thank you for your time today.
Good morning. I want to thank everybody to decide to spend their Saturday morning with us, and very much appreciate it. We have food and coffee and water. If you haven't had to get any, make sure you help yourself. And just a small token of our appreciation for you to be here. We want to use this opportunity to connect you all. We are Asian American serving organizations, and I know for a fact many of us have common missions and common agendas, and we can connect with each other, work together as a united front. We can move mountains, we can push policy, we can make law to make it more favorable to Asian American community. That's why we are here. We want to hear from you. We want you to join forth, work together. And I started education advocacy after the TJ high school admission change. That was the trigger. That was pushed me over, like I can no longer sit on the couch watching that whole thing unfold. I want to do something to make a difference. That's how I got into education advocacy. So, and our education committee gonna host hearing session and via Zoom. I want to hear from all of you, your organization, your members from your organization. We want to hear from parents. What is happening at school you're not happy about, and what changes you want to see. We want to hear that, so we take that from you, and we give policy recommendation to the governor. And it's coming up, and watch out for email from me. Thank you. Yeah, so, and members, you can take a seat, and we're gonna officially kickstart the program, and we'll have some wonderful lined up speakers today for us, and they're gonna provide some insight that's so special, and you probably won't hear from anywhere else. The first up is Gary Penn. Gary is the commissioner of the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry, and he has led 2 very successful small businesses that have been recognized by Inc. magazine among 100 fastest growing private company in America. And Gary also served as a Boy Scout Scoutmaster, as you can see his outfit today. And he's actually, after this event, he gets to go to the Boy Scout event. He's so super dedicated. He has been doing that for more than 17 years.
20 years now.
20 years, my goodness. And so thank you for your service, Gary. And Gary also served on many boards in the local organizations, such as the Great Falls Citizen Association, and Rotary Club of Great Falls, Northern Virginia Technology Council, Wolf Trap Foundation for the Performing Arts, and many, many more. Too many to list, otherwise I'll be staying here for the next few minutes just to list all his accomplishments. So, Gary, without further ado, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Tian. So, I'm going to tee up the 150 slide presentation that I have.
There you go, it's on.
No, welcome, thank you everyone. Thank you to the Virginia Asian American Board members. It is great to see all of you, and I see you often, actually. I love it. The great thing about it is that you have diversity, certainly, but also, that's from an ethnicity side, but also geography. I mean, we have a large concentration of Asian Americans in Northern Virginia, certainly, but it's great to have representation throughout the Commonwealth. So on behalf of Governor Youngkin, thank you for what you do, and to the audience, thank you for joining us here today. So as mentioned, my name is Gary Pan, and let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in the United States, okay? And I consider myself an American of Chinese descent, right? So American first. I did have to start a couple small businesses, so it has been great to live in this country, work in this community, and to make a difference. Let me tell you a little bit about the Department of Labor and Industry. And by the way, Carol Pion and I worked down in Richmond together for quite some time in this agency, so thank you, Carol. DOLE, which we like to call it, okay, is an agency that is dedicated to safety and health, among other things. It has to do with labor law. It has to do with protecting our citizens. We do things like child labor law, right? Making sure our children are protected. We do whistleblower programs. We have inspectors that go out and make sure that workplaces are safe. But also, we have consultants that go out to small businesses and help them develop proper safety management practices. And we recognize those businesses as well. And these are free services. And oftentimes, people don't know that these services are available. And that's unfortunate. Particularly small businesses that really relish and really care about their employees, just like their family. They want to make sure that they're protected, and we would love to help them out even further. Part of the Labor Secretariat, besides my DOLE, includes DPOR, which is Professional Occupational Regulations. We have also the Virginia Employment Commission, and we have something new that started 2 years ago, which is Virginia Works. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk a little bit about the landscape here for Asian Americans. And you know, we talk about things and we measure things from the perspective of employment rate, unemployment, occupation, occupational representation, education, how many people are building businesses and being entrepreneurs. And in every area, Asian Americans are excelling, right? We know that, right? And I consider that based upon merit, right? We actually try to really make a difference for ourselves, our families, and our community. But as was mentioned before, we still have to have a voice, right? We actually have to stand up and continue to push. We can always do better. So what happens here is that, you know, we want to make sure that we have people that are really trying to get involved in the community, and much like all of you and the people on the VAB, we are very active, and we need more people to get active and to really contribute to our community. Some of the things that we do in regards to labor and in support of this community are, as I mentioned, safety and health, right? That's one thing. Labor law, protecting our employees, right? But also, we do things like DPOR, universal licensing, making sure we have access to professions, you know, that will make a difference in the Commonwealth. We also, at the Department of Labor, deal with things like unemployment insurance, right? So it's part of the safety net to make sure that we protect our people that are displaced. Talking about displacement, right? It's, you know, up here in Northern Virginia, particularly we feel the impact of DOGE, right? We have services that through the Virginia Works, they're available to try to connect people who have been displaced to job opportunities. And we partner with a lot of other organizations throughout Northern Virginia and throughout the Commonwealth to do that. So the challenge, though, is that we would like to have more participation in those type of activities, right? So if we can get the word out to some of those benefits, those services that are available, that would be great, and hopefully you guys can share some of that. One of the things that I think is really important, and it has to do with the future. So we typically like to think long-term, right? We plan, right? We invest. We actually try to move forward. And as we look into the future, I'm wearing my Scout uniform, as mentioned, I'm the Scoutmaster. I have a couple people that are actually associated with my troops. Verma is over there. His daughter was one of my scouts. Vinay, right here in front, she's one of my scouts as well. So I believe it's important for us to invest in the future, right? And the future is our kids. That's really what it's about. So we need to set positive role models, examples for our kids going forward, and actually help mentor, advise, guide them to success in the future, okay? So we can deal with the things that are right now, but we have to deal with things in the future. We need to have that foresight. So I believe that kids are our future. So I think that investment is very important. So anyway, I'm happy to take any questions, but I do need to run in about 20 minutes. So I don't know. We have time for questions?
We'll leave the question as a panel for all speakers, and I totally understand you're so committed and dedicated to all the amazing things you do. I totally understand if you have to run, and appreciate you be here.
Just to clarify, I did not leave my scouts in the woods by themselves. Okay. Although they are prepared and well trained.
Thank you, Gary. So next up, and we are honored to have Delegate Kathy Tran. And Kathy Tran is the first Asian American woman elected to Virginia House of Delegates in November 2017. And she is the first Vietnamese American elected to the state government in the Commonwealth. And Kathy represents the 18th district, which covers the part of Fairfax County. And Delegate Tran is a member of the General Assembly's API caucus. And welcome, Kathy.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Tran, and I serve in the Virginia House of Delegates. I'll stand to this side. I represent the 18th House District, so if you live in parts of Springfield, North Springfield, West Springfield, Lorton, Newington, or Fairfax Station, so the communities primarily to the west and south of the Mixing Bowl, and you might be in the 18th House District. And it's been a real honor to serve in the General Assembly since 2017. I also now am the caucus chair for the House Democrats. And so a chair is like serving as the COO of our organization and making sure that our members have the tools and resources and information they need to be able to serve their constituents. And I really just appreciate the opportunity to say hello and really encourage you to get to know your state senator and your state delegate or representative. Ask them to have coffee, share your priorities with them, and see where they stand on the issues that you are dealing with in your family. And make sure that you think about your state representative and state senator if you ever need help. I think so many times, particularly from our communities, we don't always know who to call and ask for help, and know that we're here as an available resource for all of you. My family came to the United States as boat refugees from Vietnam when I was just a toddler, and I never imagined that I would run for office, and so it's been an incredible honor to serve. And I know Delegate Shin is on her way, and she'll be talking more about the Virginia Asian American Pacific Islander Caucus. There she is, yay! She's our caucus chair for that, and so and share some of those works with you. But we are so excited to have a growing AAPI community and representation in the General Assembly, and know that we are resources for you and for your neighbors. So if you ever need anything, please feel free to reach out. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining us, and I know you are very, very busy. So next up is Delegate Erin Shin. Delegate Shin has been representing the 8th District since 2022, The 8th district encompasses part of the Chantilly, Herndon, Oak Hill, and Reston. And daughter of Korean immigrants, and Delegate Shane is a member of the API caucus, actually is the chair of the API caucus. Before Delegate Shane was elected to the General Assembly, and she was a nonprofit executive. Thank you so much for being here, Delegate Shane, and the floor is yours. And she'll be talking about API caucus work in the recent years and the success, and how us API serving organizations can do in moving policies and law. Thank you.
Oh gosh. Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Surely we can do a little better than that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm glad to see you all today and really glad to be hosting you all in Fairfax County. The last time I was able to spend some time with the Virginia Asian American Advisory Board during their annual summit was in Richmond, so I'm glad to see you all up here in Fairfax County. And as Tian said, my name is Irene Shin. I represent the 86th district. Sorry, the 8th district. It used to be the 86th, now it's the 8th. We got redistricted. The 8th district, which is no longer Reston, but does have Herndon, Chantilly, and a little bit of Fair Oaks. So if you know where like the Fair Lakes Hospital is, that's in my district now too. And I also have the distinct privilege of serving as the chair of the Virginia Asian American Pacific Islander Caucus, VAPIC. And so I thought I'd share with you all a little bit about what VAPIC does and who we are as a membership and as a caucus. And also to share a little bit about the work that we've been doing over the past few years, and really to have this conversation with you all about what it means to be AAPI in Virginia and the kind of vision that we're building together as we move forward. And so first off, I wanted to share a little bit about my story, my own story of how I got into politics, because I think that's really important and probably something that resonates with lots of folks in the room. When I was 15 years old, my dad got really sick. Like lots of AAPI community members, my dad was a small business owner. And so before the Affordable Care Act, I grew up most of my childhood without health insurance. Healthcare was always something that we were able to afford, going to the doctor's office to get your annual exams and just pay out of pocket. That was something that my parents were comfortable enough to afford, and that's how we accessed healthcare. When I turned 15 or 16, he gets really sick, and he spends 6 or 7 months sort of in and out of hospitals, getting exams, getting blood tests, getting all sorts of prescriptions. And as you might imagine, 6 months of hospital expenses, doctor's visits, that really starts to take a financial hit. It's thousands of dollars. And he spends the 6 or 7 months in and out of the hospital, and it would be one thing if they could figure it out and solve it and treat it and then get it resolved. But of course, they haven't been able to do that. And so out of frustration, after many, many months pass, he flies back to Korea, where he lands in Seoul. One afternoon, he's at Seoul National University Hospital the very next morning, and then that day later, he's in surgery for bladder cancer. And so it took him months and months of trying to figure out treatment here in the States and not being able to access it, and also sort of being out of options in terms of affordability and the ability to pay for that. And to think that you could land in a different country to access healthcare so quickly and so efficiently, it also made me wonder about what it means for language access for healthcare, right? What does it mean when someone can't effectively translate or communicate what ails they have? And to be able to talk to their doctors. And so that was the start of my political career in thinking about how do we help the most people. When I was a little girl, I aspired to be a firefighter. And I wanted to be a firefighter because I thought that was how I was going to help save people. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people. That's what I've always known I wanted to do. And it was sort of at this pivotal point of like realizing the American healthcare system is so broken and it's so unaffordable. It's actually easier for folks to be able to fly across the globe to get the care that they need in a country that is supposed to be the wealthiest, the most powerful country in the world, right? That seems like there's something clearly broken. And I thought that policy and working in politics was going to be the best way to be able to scale impact, because a nonprofit organization can help one family member, one family, one neighborhood maybe, but if you want to help a whole lot of people, public policy is the best way to be able to scale that. And so that's how I got into politics. And so I would ask this really because what I learned, when I was first talking about my story after I entered politics, I was a little bit embarrassed to share my story, right? I didn't want to talk about how unaffordable healthcare access was. But what I learned was knocking doors and talking to our neighbors, so many of our immigrant neighbors have similar stories in which they've gone home to get the care that they need. right? When they've gone back to get dental treatments or other health access, right? Exams, and now it's kind of trendy. If y'all are on Instagram, it's like people are traveling specifically for health access, healthcare access, because it's so hard to get what you need here in the States, and I just don't believe that that should be the case. And so that's how I got started in politics. And to this day, I fundamentally believe that public policy is the most effective way to be able to help serve all of our neighbors. And so I really feel honored to be able to do that in my role as a delegate in the House of Delegates and also as the chair of the AAPI caucus. The AAPI caucus, VAPIC, started just a few years ago because it isn't really until recent memory that we've had enough AAPI members of the General Assembly to be able to have our own caucus. Delegate Markeen was the first Korean American elected to the General Assembly, and that happened just in, I want to say it was 2011, right? It's recent memory. In 2017, Delegate Tran, who you just heard from, and Delegate Congress Fowler became the first Asian American Pacific Islander women ever elected to the General Assembly. In 2019, now Congressman Suha Subramanian became the first Indian American elected to the House, and Ghazala Hashmi, Senator Hashmi, who will hopefully be our next lieutenant governor, but Senator Hashmi became the first Muslim woman and Indian American woman to be elected to the General Assembly. And so I share this to say, in spite of the General Assembly having more than 400 years of history, it started in 1619, right? 400 plus years of history, it's really not until very, very recently we've started to build a legislature that looks like the Commonwealth and its demographics. In Virginia, we just exceeded actually 700,000 Asian American Pacific Islanders in the Commonwealth. We're the fastest growing voting bloc. And here in Fairfax County, I want to say it's something like 1 in every 4 small businesses is owned by an Asian American Pacific Islander. And so the Asian American community is having a huge impact on not just society when we think about how people love Korean barbecue, eat Korean barbecue. Yeah, Korean barbecue is trendy. When people are drinking boba and Hong Kong tea, right? That's really trendy. And in all the ways in which we're contributing to society and bringing multiculturalism and an appreciation for what it feels to be a little bit different, but being able to celebrate that diversity instead of trying to otherize one another. I think Fairfax County and the Commonwealth is a really good example of what we're trying to do and build here. And still, it's not without its challenges. I'll share one anecdote from the AAPI caucus. The AAPI caucus has been a formidable force in the General Assembly in the past 5 years since we were first established. Again, I talked a little bit about the kind of history makers that we have as our caucus members, but it wasn't until 2021, in the wake of the Atlanta spa shootings, when the caucus was formed. And it was kind of this sad moment, this tragedy that prompted the creation of the caucus, but it felt necessary, right, to be able to bandy together and address what was going on in terms of the AAPI discrimination and hate that was rising during the pandemic, especially with some of the rhetoric that our public leaders were using, right, talking about Kung flu or the China virus and how harmful those kinds of words were for our community. I'm sure you all saw the same things that I saw, which were elderly AAPI community members who were being arbitrarily beaten up and assaulted on the streets. And a lot of that has to do with the kind of rhetoric that we're using, and under the watch of the AAPI caucus, we're really careful about making sure we're vigilant about that kind of language and rhetoric to make sure that the Commonwealth, we're sending the right signals about the kind of welcoming place that we are, where we can all feel like we have belonging and inclusion and feel like we are welcome here without otherizing anyone else. And the anecdote I wanted to share was about this past session. I serve on Counties, Cities, and Towns, which is a committee in the House of Delegates, and it's the committee that all of the laws that are being proposed that impact localities and their ability to govern in their jurisdictions, it goes through the Counties, Cities, and Towns Committee. And so we had this bill that came forward, and it was kind of a weird bill at first glance. You read it and you're like, I don't understand what this does. And the bill says, if there is a vacant and dilapidated building, so vacant and dilapidated, which means it's a little bit run down, right, dilapidated, building in this community, and it's been vacant for 2 years, and somebody has deemed it dilapidated, then the jurisdiction, the town, the city, the county, would have the authority to seize that property and then sell it to a developer for $1. And you're like, that seems like a really weird bill, right? You're like, why would we allow for that to happen? But then you read to the bottom of that bill, and the final provision said that this would only apply to property owned by non-US citizens. And so then you're like, okay, cool. So if you're a green card holder, a permanent resident, if you're maybe even, here on a temporary visa, but you've acquired property and you leave it vacant for 2 years and it gets dilapidated, then the county would have the authority to seize it, but they would only apply to non-US citizens. And that seems kind of crazy, right? Because when we can remember back just 50, 60 years ago in the 1940s when our Japanese American neighbors had their property stolen and seized and they were incarcerated for 4 years. Some of them came back to vacant property after being incarcerated for 4 years, right? In these internment camps that our government set up. And so that bill threw up a ton of red flags for us in the AAPI caucus. You're like, this is clearly targeting non-US citizens and the API and immigrant community, and that is a problem for us. And so we, as a caucus, stood up together on this bill and were successfully able to get it modified so that it wouldn't actually only apply to non-US citizens. It's not 2 years anymore, now it's 5 years. And so it tells you, I hope it tells you the story of what it means to build power in the community, because there's a lot of things that we are doing that are in advancement of our priorities and policies as a caucus. But we are also doing things to block bad bills, because the reality is there are still a lot of people who don't believe that the Commonwealth is a place that should be inclusive of all of us. That is true, and you see that in the ways that this General Assembly sometimes operate, even with my own colleagues, and in bills like this one. But the AAPI caucus has also had a lot of wins. So for the past 3 years, Delegate Tran actually and Senator Hashmi have been on the forefront of leading for a budget amendment for $100,000 to be included so that we would include AAPI history curriculum in our K through 12 education. And it's really exciting because Delegate Tran actually got that passed. And so thanks to her efforts, can we give her a round of applause for this? Thanks to her years of effort and fighting, along with Senator Hashmi and the AAPI caucus, this is now a reality, and the Department of Education at the state level is working through a curriculum and creating guidance for AAPI history for K through 12 schools in the Commonwealth, which is really incredible. We've also been able to get, this past year, our newest member of the caucus, at the time our newest member, Delegate Singh, JJ Singh, who represents Ashburn, he was able to get a budget amendment and a bill passed that created additional funds for houses of worship and cultural centers. When we know, for example, like Gurdwaras are under attack, as well as synagogues and churches, we wanted to make sure that there was additional money for those communities to be able to access, to harden their security, protect their congregations. We've also done some work around mental health. The idea that, I talk about this specifically because, sometimes it feels like in spaces, equity has become a really controversial word. And for me, I don't think of equity as a controversial word at all. I think of equity as a word that tells us how do we meet people where they are. Because equality is everybody starting at the same place. But equity means knowing that some people aren't even at that same starting point and we can meet them where they are. So, for example, I carried a bill this year that was about mental health access for our students. I don't know if you all were following some of these stories. This came after the bill, but in Loudoun County, there's a 5-year-old who was on his porch when, in Loudoun County, there was a 5-year-old who was sitting on his porch when some kids were walking by and throwing things at this kid, and he's in tears and he's saying, leave me alone, right? And that was just next door, the county next door to us. And there are specific types of bullying and discrimination that our kids and students face because of their culture, their heritage, their race, or ethnicity. Everyone can hear me, okay? Yeah. Everyone can. And so this year I tried to pass a bill that said that the Department of Education should create guidelines that are both culturally responsive and language appropriate for students in our K-12 system. Because I know
much less likely to come forward and tell their parents about what they're facing in their schools. What I hear is that the kinds of bullying that kids are facing in their schools is leading them to do much more suicide ideation in AAPI communities than in other student communities, right? And so when we know that there is a gap, some of it is cultural, right? There's lots of kids as AAPI kids, there's like some stigmas around how we talk about mental health as a community. And so making sure that our kids have access to culturally responsive, culturally appropriate, and language appropriate mental health resources seems like common sense to me. And so we put that bill forward as one of the AAPI office's priority bills, and it passed both chambers, the House and the Senate. But to my dismay, it got vetoed by the governor. And so it tells you that even in spite of what seems to be common sense priorities, there is still a lot of polarization and partisanship that gets injected into policies that we know are good for our communities. And so when I think about wrapping up, I think I'm coming up on time here, I want to wrap up this conversation by saying, I think for all of us, my call to action to you all is to not to allow the AAPI communities, not allow our communities to be weaponized in these partisan games. That we are vigilant about what it means to stand up for our community, what it means to be really clear-eyed about the kind of Commonwealth that we're building that is inclusive of everybody, where our differences and our diversity can actually truly be celebrated and welcomed, and that we can build the kind of place, the kind of Commonwealth where we all agree that everybody deserves an opportunity at success and pursuit of the American dream. I've lately been thinking a lot about what it means to have the American dream. Because I think sometimes in politics right now, the idea of the American dream gets lost a little bit. But I think that it's what is incumbent upon us as a kid of immigrants, as grandchildren of immigrants maybe. I think our perspective on what the American dream is and was is maybe a little bit closer than for some of our neighbors right now. And I would encourage you all to remember that to me, and to me, the American dream is about taking care of one another, of our neighbors, of making sure we all have a place to be safe, to be included, to belong, and to have a shot at pursuing happiness, success, and economic prosperity. Those are the reasons that my parents came here. That's the reason my grandparents came here. And so I would call on you all to think about what that means and how we can all contribute to keeping American dream alive and the opportunity to achieve the American dream alive in the Commonwealth through all of the work that we're doing individually, through organizations, and also as a part of organizations like BAB, the Virginia American Advisory Board. So I'll be around for a little while longer. I'm happy to have one-on-one conversations. I've got some business cards that I'm happy to stay in touch with you all on. And I appreciate you all being here and making sure that you're engaged as we try to do this work together for our community and making sure that we're doing the thing that I said, which is building a Commonwealth that is more just, that is more inclusive, that's more welcoming for all of us, and safe for all of us too. So thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate your time here. And I apologize, the microphone battery ran out for the following speakers, and we have to just project. And I'm the room starts to huge. So next is gonna be Dr. Cindy Shao. So Dr. Cindy Shao, she's no stranger to many of us, and she's the president and founder of the Asian American Chamber of Commerce. She serves on advisory committees from Montgomery County Chamber and on the board of North Virginia Creator Works, and as well as Art Fairfax Grant Committee. And she also serves on Diversity Advisory Committee for Federal Communication Committee, and she chairs the Chinese Culture Institute. Dr. Shao was recognized as one of the 15 influential women in Virginia by Virginia Law magazine, and she will be talking about the business challenges that facing the AAPI community. Thank you.
Hi, testing. Yeah, I have a low voice. Will help. So good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yeah, so just wonderful energy in the room. Thank you, Bob, for hosting this event and set up a really nice stage and platform to hear from the community. So I privileged. I work with many entrepreneurs in this region, so I somehow see, I personally inspired by their hard work and their innovative spirit and their willingness to support so many families that one of our board members, he grew business to already reached employing 6,500 employees, supporting 6,000 families. So we really all with all this type of work, the entrepreneur kind of providing to support the community. Also great to hear the president legislative work from Delegate Shin and Delegate Chen. So our chamber is a regional chamber serving Maryland, DC, and Virginia. So we had a chance to work with many of the board members of RAP, like Shirley, Henry, Shirley County, all actually help out our program and either as FO mode. Bluetooth mode. Can you hear me okay? Echo.
Echo. Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Much better now, you can move forward.
Yeah, you come closer.
So, our chamber is a regional chamber serving Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I saw many of you in the room who actually supported our program, either attending or speak as our keynote speakers or panel speakers, and some of you we had a chance to honor your achievement in the community. So we basically cover Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And recently we started to build a different county-based council to support the huge Asian community in the whole region, including Maryland, DC, Virginia.
Power on.
Currently, we have a very active Montgomery County Chamber, Montgomery County Council, and also Howard County Council. In DC, we work with the City Club and chairing their International Business Committee. So I will just, before I share the challenges for the Asian community we encounter, I just want to briefly share
Power on.
some of the upcoming programs
On
so you
mode.
are aware of what we are doing. Like the upcoming events in DC is wellness around the globe. So we will share some best practice basically rooted in the Asian American philosophy or wisdom, including like holistic treatment, acupuncture, and tree. So if you also come to DC, welcome to join us. Also this October, we're going to organize a special trade mission to Indonesia, because we have a very active international program. Last year we actually led a trade mission to Vietnam to help our member expand the business globally. Also work closely with the embassy and the Vietnamese government to help their suppliers to find a market, right? Expand their market in the United States. And this year, we had a chance to work with the embassy of Indonesia. So the trade mission is still open for registration. If your business is looking to grow internationally, make a greater connection with Indonesia, that's a really dynamic, growing market. So there will be a very exciting expo with 1,500 exhibitors in like a trade expo. So we will be part of that. There's also fascinating travel time. Like we will visit the beautiful Spain, beautiful destination like Bali. It will be really like a rich program. So any one of you are interested or you know business who would like to take advantage of this opportunity, feel free to send them to us. And also, Chamber has two signature programs. Every year we will host the June South Asia Gala program to honor really outstanding entrepreneurs, API owned businesses in the whole region. So that's every May, it's May Asian Heritage Month. So we just had a really nice one this year, and we featured about a dozen like elite Titan awardees. And upcoming, we also host a new program we started last year, which actually feature 40 young leaders. So it can include both entrepreneur and professionals. So we kind of expand the program, not only include the business owner, but because we also see there are many outstanding professionals who work at the government agencies or nonprofit sector, or they work at the corporations or small business as professionals. So we actually set up a stage to recognize all of them. The program is ongoing, so November 7th at Sutra. It's a high-end luxury Chinese restaurant in Maryland. Just want to share that. And there's also culture check and the wellness program. During pandemic, we also see the needs from the restaurant community, the challenges they were facing. So we start the restaurant program, give some special scholarship to support those restaurants, and also we started to host like a Taste of Asia event series, which was really popular, and we were able to work with many embassies. They also work closely with us to share the business they work with, like the businesses from their country, and also they promote the culture and the food. So it's another many different fields we've been working on. So talking about the challenges, I would say in my capacity, right, there are so many really successful, innovative entrepreneurs we have pleasure working with, but also on a daily basis, we really feel the challenges for many Asian American businesses, women-owned businesses, right, within our community. For example, for the first generation immigrants, I feel most of us here in this room, language is not a barrier for you, but for many of the first generation immigrants who started a business, like some of the Korean business owners, I think this is still a big challenge. Like I had a chance to talk with the publisher of a Korean media. So he shared, well, our chamber is so active, planning all the events, providing the platform, inviting people from different diverse Asian, business communities together. But for them, they just feel they're kind of left out a little bit because they don't feel comfortable talking with people, right? Because their language skill is kind of not really strong enough. So they share their unique challenge. They prefer a little bit a smaller group setting. So there are people who bilingual who can serve as kind of ambassador to help them navigate the room or conversation. And so that's kind of just one example. And also recently the world is going a little bit crazy, wild, and we come out here from the community firsthand, like the terrorists, right? Big challenges. This come up, and then we hear immediately from the business that it really, really impact their bottom line, and there's so many uncertainties and the rising cost of running the business and the operation, which just add additional layer, right? Because small business, and especially minority-owned business, already in a very challenging situation. But with the policy uncertainties, it's just extremely overwhelming for many of them. And also, for example, government contracting companies during pandemic, that time frame, they shared it's very tough because there was no personal time with the contractors, right? Contracting officers, and it's hard for them to be in front of the different agencies. So different stage, I think there are different set of challenges popping up. It's come out pretty dynamic. And for many family-owned business, small business, always their lack of resources and lack of access to capital. And also, we had a chance to work with another small business to prepare a grant. Basically, we did extensive research to see the challenges some women, like minority-owned businesses, are facing. So the access to capital and like a venture capital, I know Henry actually spoke at our conference sharing about all these resources. So I think there's data showing for minority, business and especially also women-owned business, there's additional challenges and barriers. And so compare with like the other mainstream communities, I think the minorities do face additional challenge there. And also, I mentioned about language and culture barrier. That's always there, I would say. But kudos to the fabulous work Bob has been doing, right, to provide more language access. So that's really helpful. And for many businesses, for example, restaurant, right, the regulation of compliance, all those, process, it's always not easy to navigate. Also depend on where their business is set up. Some place, maybe see Maryland, certain county, it's more difficult than others. So between different states, it can be a little bit different. But normally, it's kind of many months or years waiting for them to get permit or get all the required documents done before they're able to open a business. And another challenge, I would say, is limited access to resources and the mentorship. We saw quite some program in other community, for example, the Black community, African American or Hispanic community. There are many nice grants out there you were able to secure and run really strong programs supporting minorities. But in Asian community, I didn't see it very different. We don't really have a chance to get a lot, and also I think that there's some perception of like they need more help, and Asians always the minorities. We don't need much help. And some of the feedback or complaint we receive is they are so competent, but when they compete for a contract, it goes to the opportunity actually goes to a Black-owned business. So there's kind of certain feedback we receive. So that's kind of the challenges I think certain like Asian owned business are facing. And also I think you hear a lot about the workforce issues, and I just actually had a chance to talk to one of our members who runs the really big candle business, and they have big factory in Vietnam, and also he actually courageous enough to start a manufacturing business here in Virginia. And then now, because it's manufactured, then of course, how to hire the workers, and also in the future retain the workers. That's always not easy to deal with. Yeah. Also, he actually mentioned he would like to see if there are more government programs he can benefit, but actually he find out there are kind of not really something out there to support even manufacturing business. We know right now the current administration is really advocating or promoting the manufacturer, but their own experience is that they somehow couldn't find a house from the government. It's right here in the Fairfax County. So the others is, I would say, because it's a somehow a global village, everything is intertwined together. So the global and the policy uncertainties, I would say that's definitely a big issue. Everyone can come up, see about that, and like the tariff and shipping costs, supply chain disruptions, it directly affect many businesses out there. So we are going to host events in partnership with the George Washington University, September 25th in Loudoun County. So we will have 3 professors from George Washington University. They will come out, give a nice presentation about tariff issue and the big data and the nuclear energy for data center. And we also invite 3 or 4 of our chamber members who are in IT space to talk about IT trends and challenges. So those are kind of the, I would say, the things I can think of. Of course, delegation mentioned about discrimination, those issues, especially during the pandemic. And lastly, I know Srileka and me were invited to a community forum just last weekend. They mentioned about foreign environment, like influence. This is a kind of a special challenge. Some of the business here facing, I would say, it just like, sorry to share all these challenges, but I think my job is still, we were able to work with so many experienced business owners and leaders, and also community leaders like you in this room. So I think with the combined forces, and so we hope to provide the solutions and support the community more. So we are always here in our office in McLean, and also right here at Fairfax. We have 2 offices. Feel free to talk to us, and we would really love to hear about any feedback and see how we can serve as a resource, and we would like to work more closely with and also anyone in the room. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shao, and I really appreciate all the great work Asian Chamber of Commerce is doing. Like she said, the Chamber is offering so many programs help small business. If you're a small business owner, and make sure to take advantage of the opportunity, take advantage of the resource, take advantage of all the support. That's what we're here for. Every organization has to offer something unique that helps the API community, and get to know them. Find the help that you need to know that exists, right? So, and of course, we're going to change the program a little bit because we're going to be running behind schedule. We're going to conduct a Q&A and panel outside. We'll, like after the speakers, we're not going to keep everybody in this room. I know you want to network. I know you want to talk to other organizations. And once our keynote speaker finishes speaking, and we're not going to stay in this room, you can reach out to us, our board members individually. We're going to be at the right-hand side, right outside the door. We're all going to be there. Talk to us. If you have any concerns, feedback, changes you want to see in the government, in the policy, talk to us individually. So next speaker up is Himanshu. Himanshu Verma is the founder and chief technology officer of WidePoint Analytics. He has over 20 years experience in application development and a data analyst. And Himanshu is going to talk about AI's impact on employment in the tech sector. We all know in the tech sector that the demographic of employment is predominantly Asian American heavy. And with AI's impact in with AI's advancement in recent years, and it impacts a lot of employment in the AI sector. A lot of us sitting here are parents. We have students in high school, middle school, and it used to be like, hey, my son, my daughter, go study computer science, be a coder, write code. in college, but those jobs are slowly disappearing because of AI. And Himanshu has very unique experience and expertise in this topic. He's going to talk about that. Thank you, Himanshu.
Thank you, Jan, for that introduction, and thanks to also the speakers. Please put on the microphone.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. I just try to speak into the crowd so that you guys can hear me. If you have questions, feel free to ask. So first of all, would like to thank Virginia Asian Advisory Board for having me here and for all the good work that you guys are doing. Jan, thank you. Nice to run into you again. After we were together working at Coalition for TJ quite some time back along with Yuan. That was an issue that united like Indian community and the Chinese community, Korean community, Pakistani community, everyone together. We all care about our kids. AI is another issue. And I know Cindy talked about a lot of issues. I'm adding one more to her list, which is going to be AI, which is impacting all of us here in different ways, positively, negatively. I want to briefly discuss and tell you what the impact might be as we go in. So a little introduction about me just to add to what you said. So I work closely with the Capital IIT. So I'm on the alumni board of IIT, Indian Institute of Technology out here. Locally in DC, we have around 1,200 members. Almost all of them are in tech, hardcore tech. Many of them are professors, they teach. Many are CEOs of different organizations. We network and we kind of understand and help each other out. I'm also on the board for Wheels Global Foundation. It's a non-profit. It uses technology to accelerate philanthropy. It's like a startup fund for non-profits is what that is. And work with American for Hindus Coalition. As Hindus, we're trying to get into politics and see how that goes, how that impacts us. And other than that, and by the way, thank Srilekha as well. Maybe she stepped out. Don't see her here. Oh, there she is. Okay. So briefly get into what I had planned for today. It's like we are in a very interesting time. I wake up every day. I wake up and I'm extremely excited, for the day that's coming in, for what's going to happen. And I have a very hard time sleeping, going back to bed. So because there's so many things going on, and I think Srini can resonate here. There's so many things going on in the AI space. AI is accelerating pretty much everything, every sector that's out there, right? So like in our company, we are working in parallel. We're working on legal AI. We are working on diagnostic AI in the medical space. So that's changing everything. Diagnosis will become faster, more accurate, will help doctors going in. We are working on fraud-based abuse to reduce the cost of health insurance. Someone had a story here today that health insurance costs are going up so much. We're doing that. We're working in logistics sector. Supply chain came up, so AI is helping out supply chain as well. We're working in compliance, making sure compliance needs are met. And then we're also doing campaign management. I met someone here today who lost by 4 votes. Here you are. So we are doing campaign management as well. So those kind of things so that you're reaching out to your audience appropriately. And it's building opportunities to integrate in every space. Any area you can think of, AI is impacting right now. It is accelerating development. It is reducing cost of software, reducing cost of manpower. It's impacting pretty much every area down the line. And many of us are genuinely worried. We are worried that would we be on the table or would we be the menu? So that's a choice that we all have to make. The better we get on the table, the faster we get on the table, the lower probability that we'll end up on the menu. So we all should educate ourselves on what AI is, what it is doing, what's its impact, and everything. I'll try to do a little bit here today on this call, but everyone has to, educate yourselves eventually. So disruption is starting. So it's starting at the employee level, and eventually it will go at the corporate level. Any company that does not embrace AI, there are a lot of small business owners out here. Like anyone who is not embracing AI will eventually get eaten up by the competition, which is going to embrace AI and scale it up. So this is both a threat and an opportunity at the same time. So how do we deal with it? It's all on us. So different ways to deal with it. So I'll get into the basics, right? So what is AI, right? What is it good at, and what are its weaknesses? So essentially, AI is a trained neural network. Most of you have been exposed to ChatGPT. It's information compressed. So it compresses information into a neural net, and eventually it generates information coming out of the same neural net. So it's compressed information that gets generated. So it's very good at taking information in a lot of different places, like what GenAI does, and then telling us what's going on. But when it generates stuff, you can't take all of the internet and put that into a small compressed neural net. So it has to generate, so it fills the gaps. So when it fills the gaps, it hallucinates. So when it hallucinates, it makes stuff up. So when it makes stuff up, it had a problem, right? So that's something that it's weak at. What is it good at? It's good at generating information, bringing stuff from a lot of different places. So we need to understand, what it's good at and what it's weak at. So that's what each of you, if you are small business owners, you're working in different sectors, you have to see how your sector will get impacted, how it will change down the line. And you have to understand the weakness of AI so that you can supplement it and move from there. So I'll just leave it at that. But there are 3 types of jobs in our area. If I were to classify the 3 main categories of jobs which will start coming in. There are some graphics which I've created. We will get into that. They're AI generated, by the way, so don't trust everything on those charts. So there are 3 types of areas that are coming in. There are, if people are worried, and Tian said, a lot of folks worried about what would happen to their children. How would the next generation get impacted? What should they be doing? Where should they be focused on? So fundamentally, folks who are good at math and computer science, they're extremely good at those areas. They are going to end up working on foundational models, like working with companies like Meta, Google, and all of those companies which are building the foundational models. But you don't need a lot of people to do foundational models. You just have a team of 5 ultra-smart mathematicians. You pay them a few $100 million per person. Done. That's good enough. That's those people who would be focused on that area. Next would be people who are applying that AI, who are taking that AI and incorporating that into a bunch of software. And there are, billions of lines of code that have already been written. A lot of that will get rewritten with AI, of course, but not without humans. Not without input from a lot of different small business owners in this room. Not without taking, your best practices and encapsulating that into a software solution, which you hopefully can scale up down the line and go across the world. So that's what AI offers as an opportunity for each of us. To take, if you're a small business owner, if you are good at something, take that, encapsulate that information, and then scale it up very fast, rapidly, globally. And then hopefully in the process, make a lot of money for yourself and for your community down the line, right? So how do we do that? That becomes very complicated. And the third would be people who would use AI, who would have enforcement of AI. And that'll be everyone. There will be any one person who will not be impacted. These are the 3 key categories. Very few people top. They're the ones who make a lot of money. There are very few, right? And then a bunch of software that get produced, there will be a bunch of people there, and then the baseline of everyone else who is moving and getting impacted by AI. So you can pick where you are, and you would know where your children need to be based on their competence, based on where they are, and you can accordingly fit them in. So the advantage of being a small business owner is you can take on interns if you need to. You can work with other children who are very good at AI, who have software skills, bring them into your company, and have them understand the domain knowledge and build tools which can scale up down the line. That would be one advice I would give to this group who have a lot of small business owners integrated in there. An advice to a lot of younger individuals who find themselves at a crossroad, not sure what they should be doing. Gary said he wanted me to talk to some of his scouts in Troop 55. So some of those younger folks, they don't know, what they should be doing next. How they should focus on. On that, I would say, specialize deeply on a specific domain, whatever that domain might be. They need to get very, very deep into a particular domain. Get to know that domain in and out. Get to understand AI as well. As you specialize in a domain, you can't leave AI aside. You need to understand how it works, how it functions, but you have to specialize in a particular domain. A lot of people talk about it here, build interpersonal skills, build empathy, and things like that. Unless those things are there, it becomes very difficult for people to go up the chain. You cannot have an AI lobby to a senator, right? You need a human being eventually. So humans will still be there, but we need these skills to develop a lot of empathy. And then focus on ability to make ethical decisions. And one of the most important things, as people go up the chain, they need to be able to make proper ethical, we can't rely on AI to make ethical decisions for us. Eventually it will boil down to